National Association of Youth and Students for Peace, Pilipinas. A global family of young people building a world of peace with true love.
If this is your first time visiting on our channel, make sure to hit subscribe and please turn on the notification bell to be notified for the upcoming videos.
Youth, an adventure full of hope and passion. Endless possibilities to achieve our dreams. Where your dreams begin, Youth and Students for Peace. Join us on this adventure. In the 20th century, the age of material civilization, science and technology's swift advancement allowed extreme individualism to run rampant. Pornography, violence, free sex, and drugs dismantled the family. Youth were thrust into a cold and dark world. In the 21st century, we need a balanced approach. More public-mindedness, less destruction and division. In 2015, the UN set 17 Sustainable Development Goals and is calling for global participation. What then is the key to harmonious and sustainable development? In 1976, Muhammad Yunus, a Nobel Peace Prize laureate from Bangladesh, developed the concept of microfinance. Microfinance has produced sustainable results. The concept has spread to 140 nations globally to alleviate poverty by providing loans to small social units and teaching collective responsibility. Well before this, Dr. Sun Myung Moon and Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon applied this concept in their quest for world peace. They advocated the smallest unit, the family, is where world peace and happiness begins. The family is where we first learn to live for the sake of others. We are calling this concept micro-peace.
Peace begins in the family, specifically in the relationship of parents loving their children unconditionally and children developing the heart of filial love toward their parents. Brought into society, this principle of living for others creates good character in citizens, patriots in nations, and saints in the world. But it all begins in the family.
The greatest peace sprouting from the smallest unit, one human family under God. In 2005, Father and Mother Moon launched UPF with a world tour emphasizing a new vision of peace. Night after night, city after city, visiting one nation per day, they taught that the family is not only the school of love, it is also the cornerstone of world peace. Beginning with the establishment of the Collegiate Association for the Research of the Principle in 1966, the many institutions they have founded convey a vision of peace and teach universal principles that strengthen marriage and the family.
When I was young, I took the Pure Love Pledge and it changed my life. From that day onwards, I was able to build my character and moral values. For the happiness and future of my students, I am continuing teaching Pure Love education at my school.
Father and Mother Moon have established more than 50 educational institutions around the world. MOUs have been signed and character education is being taught in thousands of schools on all continents and in all cultural spheres, East and West. After Father Moon passed away, Mother Moon carried out his intentions and established the Wonno Pyongae Scholarship Foundation, which supports the education of youth and students globally. The Sanok Peace Prize honors and supports heroes who are creating a culture of sustainable peace and are role models for future generations to look back on. On February 23, 2017, Mother Moon, the first international chairwoman of the Women's Federation of World Peace, launched Youth and Students for Peace.
위하여 사는 참 사랑을 실천하는 나눠줘도 더 부족함을 느끼고 더 나눠주고 싶고 이런 마음 자세 이런 환경을 만들어 가야 하는 너희들 앞에 책임이 있다.
With the support of Women's Federation for World Peace and the Universal Peace Federation, YSP is a rapidly growing global network of game changers.
เยาวชนและนักเรียนแห่งสันติภาพคือความหวังและอนาคตของโลกโดยผ่านความรักที่บริสุทธิ์และความกตัญญูจะเป็นจุดเริ่มต้นแห่งความสุขและสันติภาพโลก
एउटा असल परिवार समाज समृद्ध राष्ट्र निर्माणको लागि युवा विद्यार्थी अवस्थाबाट नै सकारात्मक विचार उच्च भलाइ साँचो प्रेमको अभ्यास गर्न आवश्यक छ
À travers la Fédération des jeunes et des étudiants pour la paix, je travaillerai afin d'accomplir de grands rêves.
Youth and Students for Peace, YSP, builds on the past and opens doors of hope for the young generation through academics, service, sports, international exchanges, universal character education, environmental responsibility, among other things. In Asia, Africa, Korea, Japan, the US, Central and South America, Europe and Oceania, YSP is becoming a wave of goodness sweeping the world today. The idea of one family under God is taking root and growing in the hearts of people, young and old alike. Be a part of this global awakening. Let's create a new future working together. We can do it.
Good afternoon, young leaders! Welcome to the IUYSP Filipinas live stream. Hello to the viewers from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. I would also like to welcome viewers from different countries. We want to know, where are you watching from? Please leave us a comment in the comment section below. My name is Charmaine P. Mayo, the president of IUYSP Misamis Oriental, and I will be your host for today's program. So, how are you feeling today, everyone? I see. You're doing great and fine. Glad to hear that. Last time, we had listened to the first lecture from Dr. Julius Malikden. He shared to us the role and importance of youth leaders in shaping a sustainable future. Today, we will listen to the second lecture from a very inspiring leader. The title of this lecture is The Way to a Principled and Conscience-Driven Leadership. Let me introduce to you Dr. Robert S. Kittel. Dr. Robert Kittel is the co-chair of Universal Peace Federation, or UPF, Asia Pacific. He is also the Director of Education for Universal Peace Federation, Asia Pacific, specializing in adolescent character education and family values-based program. Dr. Kittel is also the Asia Pacific Chair of International Media Association for Peace, or IMAP. Dr. Kittel has lived in Asia for 46 years and is currently living in Manila with his wife, Ma'am Teresia, with 2 children and 1 grandchild. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a thunderous round of applause to Dr. Robert S. Kittel.
Welcome! Yeah, if you give and there's no response, anybody out there? So, I've asked Julius if I can make a little bit of a explanation of the Give and Take book. The givers were both the most successful and the least successful. Why? Is it clear? Can you hear? Your microphone is stronger. Yeah. Hello, okay. So the givers are both the most and the least successful. Why? Because there's two types of givers. If somebody gives in order to receive, then he will only give to people that are above him, because he gives and then he can get something back. But the person that is a genuine giver, doesn't matter the position or what they receive. He will give to the people above him, to the people below him, everybody. So when they have a vote, who do they want as their leader? Who do they want as their leader? The guy who is giving genuinely to everyone. So that person becomes the most successful. I'm going to show you a TED Talk because Julia showed you 2 videos. I'll show you one. And I've asked 2 people, they haven't heard it before, so maybe it will be new for most of you and entertaining.
So I want to talk today about money and happiness, which are 2 things that a lot of us spend a lot of our time thinking about, either trying to earn them or trying to increase them. And a lot of us resonate with this phrase, so we see it in religions and self-help books, that money can't buy happiness. And I want to suggest today that in fact that's wrong, and that I'm at a business school, so that's what we do, so that's wrong. And in fact, if you think that, you're actually just not spending it right, so that instead of spending it the way you usually spend it, maybe if you spent it differently, that might work a little bit better. And before I tell you the ways that you can spend it that will make you happier, let's think about the ways we usually spend it that don't, in fact, make us happier. We had a little natural experiment. So CNN a little while ago wrote this interesting article on what happens to people when they win the lottery. It turns out people think when they win the lottery their lives are going to be amazing. This article is about how their lives get ruined. So what happens when people win the lottery is, number 1, they spend all the money and go into debt. And number 2, all of their friends and everyone they've ever met find them and bug them for money. And it ruins their social relationships, in fact. So they have more debt and worse friendships than they had before they won the lottery. What was interesting about the article was people started commenting on the article, readers of the thing. And instead of talking about how it had made them realize that money doesn't lead to happiness, everyone instantly started saying, you know what I would do if I won the lottery? and fantasizing about what they do. And here's just 2 of the ones that we saw that are just really interesting to think about. One person wrote in, when I win, I'm going to buy my own little mountain and have a little house on top. And another person wrote, I would fill a big bathtub with money and get in the tub while smoking a big fat cigar and sipping a glass of champagne. This is even worse now. Then I'd have a picture taken and dozens of glossies made. Anyone begging for money or trying to extort from me would receive a copy of the picture and nothing else. And so many of the comments were exactly of this type, where people got money, and in fact, it made them antisocial. So I told you that it ruins people's lives and that their friends bug them. It also, money often makes us feel very selfish, and we do things only for ourselves. And we said, well, maybe the reason that money doesn't make us happy is that we're always spending it on the wrong things, and in particular, that we're always spending it on ourselves. And we thought, I wonder what would happen if we made people spend more of their money on other people. So instead of being antisocial with your money, what if you were a little bit more pro-social with your money? And we thought, let's make people do it and see what happens. So let's have some people do what they usually do and spend money on themselves, and let's make some people give money away and measure their happiness and see if in fact they get happier. So the first way that we did this, on one Vancouver morning, we went out on the campus at University of British Columbia, and we approached people and said, do you want to be in an experiment? And they said yes. We asked them how happy they were, and then we gave them an envelope. And one of the envelopes had things in it that said, by 5 p.m. today, spend this money on yourself. So we gave some examples of what you could spend it on. Other people in the morning got a slip of paper that said by 5 p.m. today, spend this money on somebody else. Also inside the envelope was money, and we manipulated how much money we gave them. So some people got this slip of paper and $5. Some people got this slip of paper and $20. We let them go about their day. They did whatever they wanted to do. We found out that they did in fact spend it in the way that we asked them to. We called them up at night and asked them, what'd you spend it on and how happy do you feel now? What did they spend it on? Well, these are college undergrads, so a lot of what they spent it on for themselves was things like earrings and makeup. One woman said she bought a stuffed animal for her niece. People gave money to homeless people. Huge effect here of Starbucks. So if you give undergraduates $5, it looks like coffee to them, and they run over to Starbucks and spend it as fast as they can. But some people bought a coffee for themselves the way they usually would, but other people said that they bought a coffee for somebody else. So the very same purchase, just targeted toward yourself or targeted toward somebody else. What did we find when we called them back at the end of the day? People who spent money on other people got happier. People who spent money on themselves, nothing happened. It didn't make them less happy, it just didn't do much for them. And the other thing we saw is that the amount of money doesn't matter that much. So people thought that $20 would be way better than $5. In fact, it doesn't matter how much money you spent. What really matters is that you spent it on somebody else rather than on yourself. We see this again and again when we give people money to spend on other people instead of on themselves. Of course, these are undergraduates in Canada, not the world's most representative population. They're also fairly wealthy and affluent and all these other sorts of things. We wanted to see if this holds true everywhere in the world or just among wealthy countries. So we went, in fact, to Uganda and ran a very similar experiment. So imagine instead of just people candidly say, name the last time you spent money on yourself or other people, describe it, how happy did it make you? Or in Uganda, name the last time you spent money on yourself or other people, and describe that, and then we ask them how happy they are. Again, and what we see is sort of amazing because there's human universals on what you do with your money, and then real cultural differences on what you do as well. So for example, one guy from Uganda says this. He says, I called a girl I wish to love. We basically went out on a date, and he says at the end that he didn't achieve her up till now. Here's a guy from Canada. Very similar thing. I took my girlfriend out for dinner, we went to a movie, we left early, and then went back to her room for only cake. Just cake only. Human universal. So you spend money on other people, you're being nice to them, maybe you have something in mind, maybe not, but then we see extraordinary differences. So look at these two. This is a woman from Canada. We say, name a time you spent money on somebody else. She says, I bought a present for my mom. I drove to the mall in my car, bought a present, gave it to my mom. Perfectly nice thing to do. It's good to get gifts for people that you know. Compare that to this woman from Uganda. I was walking and met a longtime friend whose son was sick with malaria. They had no money. They went to a clinic, and I gave her this money. This isn't $10,000. It's the local currency. So it's a very small amount of money, in fact, but enormously different motivations here. This is a real medical need, literally a life-saving donation. Above, it's just kind of, bought a gift for my mother. What we see again, though, is that the specific way that you spend on other people isn't nearly as important as the fact that you spend on other people in order to make yourself happy, which is really quite important. So you don't have to do amazing things with your money to make yourself happy. You can do small, trivial things and yet still get these benefits from doing this. These are only 2 countries. We also wanted to go even broader and look at every country in the world, if we could, to see what the relationship is between money and happiness. We got data from the Gallup organization, which you know from all the political polls that have been happening lately.
So I think you get the idea, right? The way you spend money, if you spend money on other people, actually brings you more happiness. And I'm realizing here in the Philippines, you must be, as Julia said, the happiest people in the world because you have the longest Christmas season. It starts in September or maybe even in August. And then you have 4 or 5 months of Christmas, and Christmas season is the season to give. It's the season of the family, the season where you want to give. So you have that big advantage. So, before I get into my presentation directly, I want to talk a little bit, I want to ask a question. How many of you who are leaders of YSP met us, IAYSP, through the RYF, the Regional Youth Forums? How many of you met us through the Regional Youth Forums? Please raise your hand. RYF. You met us, so 1, 2, 3. Oh, online. Okay, you met us online, I guess is the best way to say that. Wow. So maybe 30 or 40%, something like that. Good, thank you. So you're kind of new. Good. So I'll share with you, it's been referred to before, just so you understand that this organization is doing a lot of things to try and bring peace to the world. And this was the, hopefully, how do you make it go? Next slide. I mean, do I have to sit and do that all the time? No choice. Okay. A program that was happened in Korea the second week of February called the World Summit. And this was sponsored by the Universal Peace Federation in collaboration with the Royal Government of Cambodia. And Mother Moon was there. She was the keynote speaker on, especially on the last day. And we had nations, 157 nations, outreach to them to try and bring representatives from those nations to this program. 157 nations, again, working with the government of Cambodia. They sent out the invitation. So Hun Sen, the Prime Minister, signed the invitation, along with Ban Ki-moon, the former UN Secretary General, signed the programs. These are some of the heads of state that have attended our programs over the last year or so. There's been a series of World Summits, and there are 85 current and former heads of state who have attended programs. 25 current and 60 former heads of state. This was the auditorium that we have in Korea, because even though there's coronavirus, we can still have a big gathering because we can have lots of space there, and it's a very high level. This was the conclusion of the program after 3 days. Mother Moon is in the middle. On her right is the Prime Minister of Cambodia, Hun Sen, and on her left is Ban Ki-moon. And also Gloria Arroyo sent a message. She wanted to go so badly, but she didn't get a visa. Can you imagine that? The former president, who's going to be the next Speaker of the House, whose father signed the bill to send Filipinos to Korea to fight and die during the Korean War. Amazing. I want to meet the Korean ambassador. Okay, so let's begin. Sustaining sustainable futures. My topic, the way to a principled and conscience-driven leadership. So I will talk about two things. Some of it will overlap, but I don't mind repeating myself because I'm a parent, and parents repeat themselves, right? So it's okay. And you might get a little bit deeper, a little bit new angle from what Julius had said. So I'll talk about the principle of sustainability, and secondly, a conscience-driven leadership. Let's talk about the first one first. The United Nations has now Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of them. But my question, just because they have a goal, just because they have a timeline, will they be successful? What is the principle of sustainability? Just setting a goal and a timeline means you're going to be successful? What if we develop? Will development make us sustainable? Do you know countries that have developed and then gone down again? What about if we are economically prosperous? Will that make us sustainable? What about the Roman Empire? The Han Dynasty? And many other civilizations throughout history. What if we have strong military power? Will that make us sustainable? What if we are very smart and have big libraries and lots of knowledge? Will that alone make us sustainable? I don't think so. Sustainability, the principle, the very root of what it means to be sustainable. I suggest in order to understand this, you buy a big mirror. And you look in that mirror and you will see yourself. And there are two parts to the human body, the mind and the body. It's that simple. It's really, really that simple. And the mind is up and the body is down. Up and down. Up and down. And it's our responsibility to align them correctly. Animals don't have this. They don't have responsibility. We do. And this is the first and most fundamental responsibility that we have. If you look at yourself, just look at yourself. My mind is up and my body is down. They have a different purpose, a different function. The function of the mind, what is that? What's the function of the mind? You look and I look. I speak and you listen. And we had tea together. So 4 of the senses are located here. Your sight, your smell, taste, and touch is everywhere. So this is meant for public interaction. Look around the room. Does anybody cover their head? No. If you covered your head, you would have to wear. Hello, I'm happy to see you today. Well, I can't quite see you, but it's okay. But we cover our body. Because this is for self-maintenance. So we have a heart, we have livers, we have lungs, we have digestive system. This is for self-maintenance. So this is for myself, and this is for you, and yours is for me. So that we can interact. This is public. So this relationship is really, really, really important. It's the essence of our responsibility to align them correctly. Let's take an example. The mind should be up and the body should be down. That priority is critically important. We need both, but more important than either one by themselves, the alignment. Because the mind is public, it's higher purpose. The body is for self-purpose or self-maintenance. If we get it wrong, then it's a big mistake. If we put the body up and the mind down, that means I care more for myself than I care for others. This is a huge mistake. Because this is the seed of where you learn to live for others within yourself. And you control everything. You're in control. This is not good. The Bible, Jesus said this, I tell you, therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body. Don't worry about your body. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. This priority is critically important. It is the essence and definition of what it means to be good. I'll share with you some examples of the problem if we get it wrong. Let's say we want to build human relationships, and instead of public-private, no, I just worry about myself. I don't really care about the other person. Well, that relationship will end in conflict. And that conflict will expand into wars. If we get it wrong and we're a businessman and we have an industry, well, then we get a big, big problem. Why? Because every industry has waste products. Well, what do? I don't want to spend money to manage the waste product because I'm supposed to make money and I don't want to spend money, and therefore I will just dump it in the ocean, dump it it in the river, dump it in the air, dig a big hole, dump it there, because I don't care. I just want to get rid of it. I myself have been to the Manila Beach with about 10,000 young people to clean it up. A week later, you wouldn't have known. And that's not just here, that's everywhere. The problem of pollution we can handle, but the problem of selfishness is causing more pollution than we can handle. Let's say I'm a businessman, and I'm more interested in myself than I want to take public money and put it in my private pocket and smile. It's called corruption. And if you're very smart, then they have to hire somebody to watch you and use CC cameras. Why? Because people can't be trusted. But the wrong priority will sink ships and kill children. And I'm going to explain later that the solution to the problem in Ukraine is right here. This is a ship going from the mainland of Korea, Incheon, to the island, Jeju. The name of the ship is Seoul. 304 people, mostly children, died. There was no mechanical failure. There was no storm. Everything was normal, it looked like. And then suddenly the ship capsized. What happened? Well, they went to investigate. And the problem was the mind-body relationship of one person. One person. His mind and body was not aligned correctly. Made a big problem. The captain of the boat. He has both a public responsibility, which is the safety of everybody on the boat, and he's got a private responsibility. He's got to make money, surely. I mean, that's there too. Yeah, that's a legitimate. But the priority is important. Which is more important, making money or the safety of the passengers? He said, profit is more important than safety. So in the bottom of the boat, he put 3 times more cargo than the limit of the boat would hold. Stack it high, higher, and he didn't even tie it down. Why? Oh, we can get it in quicker and get it out quicker and make more money. So he had all this cargo in the bottom of the boat. The boat made a turn, the cargo flipped over, and 300 children died. So mind and body is a really important thing, individually, and if you take a leadership role, even more so. As Julius has mentioned, sustainability and unsustainability. It's very simple. Unsustainable. Living only for myself. Because it's self-destructive. You will isolate yourself from other people. Let's say you have 2 friends, and one friend, whenever they meet you, they ask, can you give me something? Can you give me money? Can you buy me a drink? Can you buy me, coffee or donut or hot dog or something? Every time, give me. And you've got another friend, can I buy you a drink? Can I buy you a hot dog? And you see those friends coming. One is over here and one is over there. Oh, I don't want to meet this guy. That's our heart. That's the original nature of our heart. In selfishness, the concept, I have enough, never exists. More. I want more. I want more. Give me. The opposite, living for the sake of others. Here, the concept, I have given enough, never exists. Never exists. What is the example of, in one sense, true love and false love? The principle of true love gives first and receives later, or even forgets what it has given. Do you live in a home with a refrigerator? I would imagine everybody does, right? Do you have a CC camera watching the refrigerator in your home? I would imagine nobody does. Is there a cash box next to the refrigerator? I would imagine nobody has. Why? Because your parents want to just give. You're hungry? Please, come and take freely. Give, give, give. But if you go to the store and you think, well, the store and the home are the same and I just want to take, then they're going to get you and put you in jail. The opposite, of course, is true. Take first, then give back reluctantly or even forget to give back at all. So this is found in the Bible. Whoever seeks to gain his life will lose it. Take, 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 you lose your life. Spiritually, death. But whoever seeks to lose his life will preserve it. For those of you who may be from the Muslim faith, do not expect in giving any increase for yourself. Give and have no expectation. That's the giver that wants to just give, not receive later. So that's the principle, that's the underlying fundamental principle of sustainability. The conscience-driven leadership. I want to talk about the relationship between responsibility and freedom. We all want freedom. For example, if you go to a restaurant, you want to be free. I want to choose steak or fish, and for dessert, vanilla or chocolate ice cream. I want to be free. But in order to be free, there's something that you have to agree to before. And that is, you have to be responsible to pay the bill. So when you look at a menu, there is the item and the price. So it's understood if you order the item, that's what you're going to pay. So responsibility is first and freedom is second, or sustainability. If you get those mixed up and I just want freedom, give me freedom, 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 that becomes selfishness. Freedom without responsibility is selfishness. Let's get things clear. Use the right words. Freedom and responsibility. Let's take another example. You want to be free to drive a car or a motorcycle. Yeah. Well, you have responsibility before that. Your responsibility to learn to drive and to obey the rules of the road. Again, responsibility is first and freedom is second. That's a critically important order. So again, we're looking at priorities. Priorities are really important. Let's say you want to drive a car and you get into the car for the very first time. Usually when you drive a car, you'll go on an empty, what do they call it? Field. What do they call them? Landing strip. They'll go to an old airport and maybe you'll drive around there because there'll be no other cars. You can't make any accidents. And you have to, when you sit in that car the first time, wow, the wheel is pretty clear, but what are these levers and what are the pedals down there? 3 of them. So you have to practice driving first. And in the beginning, there's fear within you because the principle of driving, you don't know it. You haven't brought it inside of yourself. But when you practice and practice and practice, and you bring that sustainable principle, that principle of learning the rules of the road and then learning how to drive a car, you bring that inside of you. Then you are free. And you can be free to go where you want to drive and to talk. But when you're learning how to drive, don't talk to me. I've got to concentrate. Don't talk to me. The fundamental principle that we need is to learn to live for others. If that is outside, then someone has to control us because we don't control ourselves. We are not conscience-driven. We are driven by policemen, we're driven by sometimes parents or other people who will teach us and guide us. But when that principle comes inside of you, then it changes It becomes part of your nature. This is what you need. In order to have this conscience-driven leadership of living for the others, you have to learn to live for others. You have to practice it and practice and practice and practice. Do you know the weightlifter that won the gold medal in the Olympics? Heidelin Diaz? Yeah. How long did she practice? So you can't think, well, I'll just practice 1 day or 2 days. If you want to be good at singing, how much do you have to practice? No less this, we need to practice in order to live for the sake of others. This is Father Moon's motto, live for the sake of others. It's what drove his life. I want to turn to a Christian passage because I was really sitting back there listening to Julius and I got inspired about this. John 3:16, do you know what that says? What? For God so loved the world? Good. Do you know John 10:17 and 18? No. Who wants to look it up quickly and read it? Or better still, I'll let you read it here. For this reason, Jesus said, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life. It's not just a one-way street. God wanted Jesus to make the sacrifice. That's true. But Jesus was an owner in this relationship. For this reason, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I am taking responsibility. This charge I have received from the Father. So Jesus understood he had to make this sacrifice. And I think this John 10:17 and 18 is equally important as John 3:14, 3:16. Not only did God make a sacrifice, Jesus also made a huge sacrifice. For this reason, the Father loves me. I lay down my life. So when Jesus was on the cross, it wasn't just on the cross and Father forgive them at that moment. It was his lifestyle. He had practiced and learned this forever. So in summation, I want to go back to our original purpose of creation in Genesis 1:28. And God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and have dominion over everything that moves upon the earth. 3 great blessings. 1, be fruitful. 2, multiply. And 3, have dominion. So the first blessing is individual perfection. This is where we become people of goodness. This is the seed, the root, the key, the fundamental building block, the cornerstone of living for the sake of others, of sustainability. If you don't have this, everything falls apart. Everything falls apart. Mind and body living for the sake of others. In John 15:5, it says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. You will be fruitful individually. This is your individual relationship with God, with Jesus. Apart from me, you can do nothing, he says. Then the second blessing, to multiply, means to take the goodness that was within us and multiply it in loving relationships. Hebrews 13:4, let marriage be held in honor among all. Everyone should hold marriage in honor, not just the married people, but even the young people, maybe more especially. If young people have marriage as kind of the goal, if it's held in honor, then their life will change. Today, more and more, we're seeing marriage being challenged and families being fractured or failing to form. A lot of relationships out there are what they call the CCC relationship. Condoms, contraceptives, and consent. And then it's okay. Then it's okay. No. There's something more important in the family relationship than just the sexual side of things. Much, 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 much more important. The third blessing, to have dominion, is that if you take these blessings, you have these blessings, and you work with them, then we can build a culture, a dominion of God. The laws can reflect the laws of God. The nature can reflect the nature of God. So in Matthew 6:10, this reminds me of a joke. There was a little boy who came home from Sunday school. And his mother asked, what did you learn in Sunday school today? I learned the name of God. The mother was surprised. God has a name? Yes. Well, is it the first name or the last name? And the boy said, it's his first name. I learned his name. And his mother said, really? I mean, who taught you this? Oh, Jesus taught me the name. Jesus taught me the name of God. And so the mother said, well, what is it? What is the name of God? What is God's first name? Howard. Howard. And the mother said, where did you learn that? Oh, he said, it's in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Anyway. Okay, so the first thing that we're learning is the principle of sustainability. That begins within you, within your mind and body relationship, aligning it correctly, learning to live for others. The second blessing is this conscience-driven leadership, where we take the priority of others and we apply it in relationships. First of all, in our own family, in our immediate family. And we become leaders in the family, whether it's the elder brother or elder sister, or later it becomes the husband and the wife, and you become parents. Leadership is based on learning to live for the sake of others. These two are the most important. And Julius talked about sustainable happiness. So I looked up, can money buy happiness? Well, I looked up the most expensive divorces. And Bill Gates and Melinda, last year, they divorced, and they're going to split $120 billion, so she gets $60 billion. Can money buy happiness? His wife said, I can't be his friend yet. The pain is too great because of the separation. And look at Jeff Bezos, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Harrison Ford, Neil Diamond, Madonna, Donald Trump. Of course, if it's necessary, there's nothing wrong. Maybe we do need a second chance. But it's clear that just money, if I had another $1 million, if I had another $1 billion, then this marriage would be successful. No, that won't happen. It won't happen. So if we get these two right, these are the foundation. We learn to live for others, and we apply that in the relationships with our family, then we can have a sustainable future. And this is missing from the United Nations. United Nations has 17 goals. Wonderful. But they don't understand the fundamental principle of sustainability. This is where this movement has a tremendous contribution to make, even to the United Nations. Live for the sake of others. So I want to explain the problem in Ukraine in this order, the order of priority. It starts with the individual. Your mind and body are aligned correctly, and you have to practice. We're not built this way. It's not automatic. We're not animals. So it's not built in. Our behavior is not. We have to learn it, and we have to learn it and practice it and make it part of our character. It will not happen automatically. So the mind and body align themselves most naturally and easily, and then we live for the sake of the family. We become contributing. We offer ourselves, we help the family when we are there. You know, it can be chores, wash the dishes, you know, take out the garbage, whatever it might be. It continues to grow. This is a vertical, this is a ladder that we are climbing. Then the families, if the families are healthy, they can contribute more to the community. And then the community, a healthy community of families that live for others, they can contribute more to the nation, and then the nations to the world, and ultimately to God. So, in this area, first there is good character, but it doesn't stop. So, you can ask the question, can I not have any self-interest? You can have self-interest. In fact, you should have self-interest. If you want to benefit yourself the most, that's good if you know how to do it. Learn to live for others. That will benefit you the most. And don't stop there. Once you build a good character, then you become a filial child. There's something above that. Don't stop there, because there's a good citizen in the community. You will pay taxes and obey the laws. Wow, you're going to contribute to social development. Don't stop there. Then you become a patriot. Vladimir Putin stopped here. He's surely patriotic, but he doesn't understand there's something above. There is a global well-being, a global responsibility. Just being the patriot and leader of a nation is enough and you can do what you want? No. So he has made this fundamental mistake of putting his nation above the interests of the world. And let's just use our military power and try and take over and dominate. This is the problem. It's a very simple problem. It takes education to solve the problem. And ultimately, we become a child of God. Always live for the greater good. If you're the individual, then you should be living for the sake of your family or your parents. And the family should be living for the sake of the community, and the community for the nation, and the nation for the world, and the world for God. This is where it starts. This is the seed of where you learn to live for others most easily and naturally. It's called a family. And this is why the family is important. Not just a place to sleep when it rains, or have a meal 3 times a day, or where husband and wife can have sex without anybody accusing them. No. That's there. But the family is where you learn to develop the character of goodness. That's the seed, that's the foundation. So the concept of let's just have sex anytime, the way to destroy the family, the easiest way to destroy the family, take sex outside of marriage. That's what Bill Gates did with Epstein. Go to the island, this guy's got an island, he'll bring you girls, da-da-da-da-da-da. And Melinda said, no, I can't do this. Who was it? Diana said there's one too many people in our marriage. This is important. It's important, and it's not taught clearly outside. You're lucky to be here to hear these education. So this concept, living for the sake of others, it's found in Exodus in the Old Testament, it's in Ephesians in the New Testament, it's in the Quran, it's universal. It's in the Bhagavad Gita, it's in the Dhammapada. All religions teach this. So I think I've gone over. But I got carried away. Sorry, thank you very much.
Wow, what a very inspiring lecture! Talking about the principles of sustainability, having a conscience-driven leadership, building a sustainable future. Once again, brothers and sisters, let us give another round of applause to Dr. Robert Kittel. Thank you so much! And thank you so much everyone for attending today's live stream. But before we go, let me give you some few announcements. To those people who did not attend today's live stream due to conflicting schedules, we have another live stream for you in our IYSP Facebook page on April 14, Thursday. Please mark your calendars for that. We would like to also remind everyone, to those who registered and attended this live stream, they must fill up the evaluation form in order to receive their certificates. And lastly, we would like to ask everyone to like and subscribe to our IYSP YouTube channel. And please hit the bell button for more updates and uploads. Once again, my name is Charmaine Mayo. Thank you for watching. Bye!
Event is to empower more our young leaders to help them to develop themselves, to improve themselves in leadership and also personal development.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Julius Malikdam for such a wonderful lecture. Then the lecture made me realize so many things, and actually the lecture that he have given is really crucial in sustaining every YSP chapter, because it is really a great challenge for YSP chapters or even in other organizations, not just youth organizations, but all of the organizations to sustain the
yung nagiging natin para oil natin to continue because we know the truth.
I am so proud to share with you the best practices of Misamis Occidental.
Greetings of peace, everyone. I am Isjan P. Mutia, the Vice President for External Affairs of IYSP Misamis Occidental Chapter. Day one for me was really great because it's my first time to attend the national engagement, especially here in Youth Leaders Assembly. It's really overwhelming to see various youth leaders around the Philippines, and I am really happy and grateful to see that they're here for a greater cause, and that is to help the nation in attaining peace and other advocacies we have here in IYSP.
Hi, IYSP Pilipinas. Thank you so much for organizing this assembly. There are so much things to learn, especially on transformational leadership, our core values of responsibility, integrity, service, and empathy. Thank you so much for empowering us. Again, this is Melanie Mandala from IYSP.
My name is Florence. I'm from the Solomon Islands. Yes, so yeah, it's my my pleasure to be here in Philippines and also participate in this youth assembly. That is so grateful and happy and enjoy with brothers and sisters. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. You can also turn on the notification bell to be notified for the upcoming videos. Join us for more adventures.